Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Infernus, and welcome back to another comic book review. Hope you guys are excited for this one because we're tackling a fan favorite today. One that was very recently released in re-released in theaters as an extended cut. We're talking about what's often considered the best thing to come out of Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man: No Way Home. It is still very surreal to be saying that name, but this was still a great movie when it came out. But hold on, what am I doing? I'm not supposed to be giving away my thoughts on the movie early. You guys obviously want to know what I think first. So, what makes this movie so great? Well, there's no sugarcoating it. This is a gimmick movie. This is a movie that where all the hype is built around one simple gimmick. And the gimmick in this case is having all three Spider-Man actors, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, my favorite, and Tom Holland, in the same movie, as well as Tobey and Andrew's villains. And does it use it well? Yeah, I'd say so. The gimmick is mainly used to give layers to some of the villains. Like, for example, Green Goblin, we get to see him causing even more damage than he did in the original Sam Raimi trilogy, which I didn't think was possible, but somehow it is. It's like in that trilogy, of course, he caused a lot of physical damage for a lot of the people involved in that conflict, but his death also caused a splintering between Peter and Harry. But here, it feels like he's trying to bring out the worst in Peter Parker. This is really the Green Goblin at his most evil and probably even his most dangerous as well. And at the same time, it's another villain who gets a little bit of development is Dr. Octopus, where we see him be redeemed for a second time. In Spider-Man 2, we of course see him uh, finally take back control of himself from his arms and destroy the tritium device that he was building while also killing himself, but that's viewed much more as a sacrifice and a heroic sacrifice at that. Really good part of the movie there. Really, Doc Ock was one of the best parts of Spider-Man 2, at least for me. But then again, one of my hot takes is that that's one of the weaker Spider-Man movies in general. And then the last hero, not hero, the last villain that gets some development is Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I liked him enough in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, hot take of mine, that movie is overhated. And I will stand by that until a rewatch gets me to think otherwise. But what I really like about this version of Electro is that he doesn't want to go back to his universe because he likes how he is in this one. He's cooler looking than he was in TASM2. I guess this time it was because they just let Jamie Foxx be his good looking self and not that weird nerdy version in the Mark Webb movie. But he also feels like he's a lot more powerful in this universe, especially when he has access to technology that can boost his power, like the arc reactor. Seriously, that arc reactor made him a serious force to be reckoned with. So I love what they do with some of the villains here. And I do also like that we get to catch up with Tobey and Andrew in different ways. And by the way, I'm not going to be referring to them as Peter 1, Peter 2, and Peter 3 because that's going to get confusing. So for this review and this review only, they are Tobey, Andrew, and Tom. Just to clear that up. Probably should have cleared that up earlier, but I will now. I do like how they handle them, where we catch up with Tobey and his relationship with his MJ, how it was a bit strained after Spider-Man 3, but they were able to make it work. And how Andrew actually stopped pulling his punches, which I'm guessing implies that he was kind of a criminal killer, which I mean isn't a good look, but it does make the character more interesting. And I love the fact that he got to redeem himself by saving this universe's MJ, Michelle Jones, Zendaya, whatever you want to call her in this case. I love that by saving her, he's able to redeem himself. That was a really great touch. And I want to say that apparently there was like a deleted version of the scene where Zendaya was temporarily replaced with Emma Stone. If that's the case, I want to see that scene. No, scratch that. I need to see that scene. But this isn't just about fan service. This is also an opportunity to give Tom some character development. He hasn't really gotten the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech yet from anybody, but he finally gets it from Aunt May in this movie, and it eventually helps him finish curing the other villains. Well, it gives him the idea to cure the villains in the first place, which honestly, that's a very Spider Man thing to do, to help people even if they say they don't need help. Like, it's almost as if he can tell that they need help. But then at the same time, when Green Goblin kills, not MJ, kills Aunt May, he desperately wants to, well, to kill him. He wants to kill Willem Dafoe's Goblin, but he has Toby there to tell him and eventually stop him from doing it. And he's telling him that's not the right way to go, which he's right, it's not. So I love what they do with all the different characters here, whether it's the villains that they bring in, or the other two Spider-Man, or even our main Spider-Man. It's great work, and it's a great way to tell a story by, just taking the characters on a journey that even the audience won't forget. Now, this may be considered the best thing in Phase 4, but it is not without its issues. It has a few minor ones, but nothing that's, a few minor ones, but still worth noting. For one, as much as I love what they do with Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro, I really wish they could have done something with Lizard and Sandman. They really feel like just they're just tacked on here to give us some assemblage of the Sinister Six, which they don't even give us because it's only 5. But I just wish they maybe could have done more with those two characters. Lizard especially, he is a serious downgrade from his original Amazing Spider-Man counterpart. And like with Sandman, they say a few times that he just wants to go back home to his daughter, but they don't really do much with that. And also at the same time, I know a lot of people were initially complaining about the whole stuff with the spell, and yeah, I can kind of see what they're talking about. Strange, I find it hard to blame Peter for this, but I do definitely blame Doctor Strange. He really should have explained the parameters of that forget me spell that he cast on everyone, or that he tried to. Really should have explained that. Maybe explain that, hey, you can say that certain people won't forget that you're Spider-Man, or that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. But no, he doesn't say anything. He just says, yeah, sure, let's do it. Nice knowing you. But yeah, those were really the main issues with the original version of the movie. Very minor in the face of what's otherwise great. But what about the re-release? The more fun stuff version, which, first of all, lamest name you could have come up with. Now, for the most part, this is the same movie with like 15 minutes of extra footage. And in terms of new additions, it's honestly kind of disappointing. A good amount of it actually feels like filler. Like the Betty Grant interviewing some of the people about Spider-Man, that feels like filler. The scene where it shows why there was paint on Tom's suit, that felt like filler. But there are some new additions here that I do like quite a bit. Like, I like that we get to spend more time with Matt Murdock. It's like that cameo in the original version of the movie had people going crazy. And I think even when I went to see this version of the movie, literally the guy in front of me put his hands in the air when they showed him for the first time. That's a Daredevil fan for you. But I also like that, they extended the amount of time that the three Peters get to spend with each other, especially the part where Andrew's like, he's telling Toby, he's like, man, that sounds really interesting. I really want to see the holes. I think there were a few chuckles in my theater when that joke was made, and that's actually a pretty good adult joke. I mean, I don't know why adult movies wouldn't make adult jokes, but still a nice little line for some humor. And I really dig the post-credit scene of this one. Of course, the mid-credits one is still there of, Tom Hardy, his Eddie Brock just being in that bar in Mexico, and then him leaving a little bit of the symbiote behind. But I'm sure some of you will remember the post-credit scene of the original No Way Home was quite literally a Multiverse of Madness teaser. That's it. Nothing special, just literally just footage, actual footage of Multiverse of Madness. Here, we get a school year recap video with Betty Grant where Peter Parker is just flat out missing from all the pictures because of the Forget Me spell. The better one, at least. So that is actually a really good way of showing how that spell works. And of course, they expand upon it more in Multiverse of Madness, where they explain, yeah, we remember Spider-Man, but who's Peter Parker? With this, it's showing that the spell literally erased any image of Peter Parker from everywhere, whether that be like from your memory or even like digital. So I'm guessing that means that the Quentin Beck video also got removed. That's something that I would still like to have explained, but yeah. But here's the thing. Of course, the more fun stuff isn't really that much more fun, and it is a little bit disappointing. If I had to choose a version of the movie to recommend more, I would certainly go with the other one, since the new additions aren't that significant and it is shorter, and you could probably just find the extra scenes on YouTube. But the thing is, while I did go see the more fun stuff version, the more fun stuff wasn't the reason why I saw it. The reason I saw it was because of the Spider-Man No Way Home stuff. The fact that this gave me another chance to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, that was the biggest draw for me. And, I mean, can you blame me? Of course, it's getting a 5. This is one of the best movies they've put out for the MCU. Even Sean Chandler, who considers it great but not necessarily top tier, even this is still in his top 10 because yeah, even he thinks it's a great movie. As for me, easily the best thing to come out of Phase 4. Phase 4 has had Phase 4 in general has been hit and miss. Like some projects like Eternals and hell, even She-Hulk, spoilers for that review eventually, weren't really hitting the mark. You had some pretty good projects like the one I just did. You had some great projects, and then you had projects like this, Multiverse of Madness, and Hawkeye. Just 3 fantastic projects that I would gladly consider the best, some of the best of the MCU. And this is easily top 5 for me. I mean, I can certainly see something pushing it out, but for right now, it's top 5. And if you haven't seen the more fun stuff version, I'd say give it a try. I'd say it's worth watching once, but then, of course, you're more than welcome to make a decision on which one you'd rather rewatch more often. Still a fantastic movie regardless. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that review of both versions of Spider-Man No Way Home. If you liked the video, you know what to do. I'm not going to bore you with all that generic stuff. See you guys in the next video. Take care, and Godspeed.